Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Quite stylish. And maybe I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face. What is a boy to do? Frazier has left the building.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Homertown Hockey, presented by Slapstick Clothing. My name's Phil Bittner, joined as always by Colton Gogger.
What's going on?
And becoming, as always, not joined by Trenton Fuller, who started a new job this week.
He heard my Tim Thomas comment, bro.
In the, I don't think I had even put the episode up by the time he told us he wouldn't be able to record.
No, he felt it. He heard what? Somebody shit talk Tim Thomas?
He was just sitting. He was bartending last week and just sensed that you talked about Tim Thomas.
For real. Feels very Boston fan. They got to stick up for him, even though he's an actual piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Bunker
Confirmed
boy.
piece of shit. Yeah, Bunker Boy's right. Bunker Boy's right. Well, there's not a ton of news this week.
No, there's really not. It was a very exciting week.
Yeah. Again, another case of just the only thing that was really going on was waiver wire cuts, and none of them were a big deal. So we're just going to cover the three or four bigger stories that we found. Probably have some discussions, and then we'll get out of here. Short and sweet.
You know what we have been behind on lately?
What?
Fines.
Oh. Yeah, that's true.
The only one,
That's
this one
true.
that I even really caught was Antoine Roussel getting fined for just mauling Jesse Pugliarvi. However
I
you
forgot
pronounce
about
that.
that one.
That was real dumb.
Pugliarvi. That was real dumb.
Completely clean little battle along the boards, and then Roussel just starts pummeling him.
Just beating the shit out of him.
Jesse looked like he was crying on the bench.
Probably. He seems like that kind of a dude.
Yeah, I think his feelings might have been hurt more than anything.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. So there was that. That's
There
the
was
level
that.
of news we have this week. Did you
That's
see
for
Antoine
real.
Roussel punch Jesse Pugliarvi?
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I think that's also just a product of where we are in this season. It's early enough in the season where things have kind of died down at this point, and it's not going to really pick back up again until the trade deadline hits.
Yeah.
And then those rumors start flying, and soon you're going to see some rookies come up and come down. Like Zegras finally made his debut this week, has a shootout goal.
Who'd have thought
nice.
there'd be less storylines when each team only plays 7 other teams?
Right. For real. I mean, the Wild close out their season with the Kings tonight, and they haven't even touched Vegas, the Blues, or the Golden Knights yet. And they're already finishing their season series with the Kings.
I don't know why the Frasier theme song just popped into my head when you said the Blues.
Because the Blues...
But I think I figured out what our theme song is this week.
Yep. I would agree. I would agree that we're playing Frasier at the beginning of this show.
Absolutely.
Call salad and scramble. That show fucking sucks.
Cheers was a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know. I never got into Frasier. My dad really liked it.
I
never did.
I'll give it credit for being one of the more successful spin-offs of any I can think of.
Wait, that's a spin-off?
Yeah, Frasier was a character in Cheers. Did you think I just randomly said Cheers was better?
Yes, I did, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, he was one of the regulars at Cheers. and then he moved to Seattle.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Laverne and Shirley, another good spinoff.
Why would why would I know that's a spinoff?
Happy
I
Days.
have no idea.
Happy Days had a bunch of spinoffs. Joni Loves Chachi, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy.
I knew Mork and Mindy was a spinoff.
Yeah.
But that's because, it's got Robin Williams in it.
And I could be wrong, but I feel like the Fonz made a crossover appearance on the Mary Tyler Moore Show at one point in time.
Did he? Did. That I know. Yeah.
Yeah, Happy Days was out there.
Happy Days is out there. Man,
All
are we
right.
just recording your TV and movie podcast right now?
We might as well.
Well, this is technically news we're going to start with news that technically broke the day after we recorded our last podcast.
Oh boy.
Which is the Claude Julien firing. The Habs, currently sitting at 4th in the North Division, fired Julien after a loss to the Senators last week. The Habs, basically, the general manager essentially said, we're not where we want to be right now, and now is as good a time as ever to let go of Claude. Dominic Ducharme,
Ducharme, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah, Ducharme takes over.
Ducharme.
Ducharme. I thought this was interesting purely because I felt like the Habs were overachieving at the time of the firing.
A couple big things I can make sense of this. A lot of their overachievement, I think, came from beating up on a Vancouver team early on that we maybe were giving them more credit for beating than it turns out you deserve for beating Vancouver. Their power play is fucking terrible, and that's generally a coaching issue. And Jake Allen is playing like one of the best goalies in the league right now and isn't seeing time in proportion to the way he's playing.
No, I have that noted down here. Is that after starting off really hot, Corey Perry has really started to struggle this year. In fact, he has a save percentage under 9.
You mean Carey Price?
What did I say?
You said Corey Perry.
Oh my god.
Also on Montreal, but...
Yes, Carey Price.
I was going to say, when the fuck did Corey Perry start out hot?
Bro, I think a lot of people would love if you just strapped Corey Perry to a goalpost and let people rip shots at him.
See, I like Corey Perry.
I have no feeling towards him. I think he's kind of a douche, but also, like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how he chose to play his career, so let him play that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, Price is struggling or starting to struggle, and Jake Allen's having a really nice season, and he's getting every 5th game, every 4th game at this point.
Yeah. And it's not going great. They went from starting to look like they, other than Toronto, might kind of run away with the division, and they're down to 4th now, and all it takes is Calgary playing the way they should, and Montreal's out of there.
Right, exactly. They're still in a playoff spot, and but they definitely are starting to hit a slide. I think it's really funny that now we're using losing to the Senators as a reason to fire coaches.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy that aspect of it. You kind of answered my question, though. For the season, though, do we think that are the Canadians overachieving or underachieving? I've made it pretty clear. I think they're overachieving right now. I think a lot of us had them to finish at the bottom of this division, and for them to even be in a playoff spot is a miracle.
Yeah, but once they come out and show that they can play like a playoff team, I think they're currently underachieving to what they've established themselves as this season. I mean, really, this is a perfect example of why I've been saying I don't trust any of the teams in the North looking good right now.
Right, and it's all goaltending based.
Yeah, I mean their backup goalie might be the best goalie in that division, and that's odd. One thing with them that I do think they've overachieved on is their 5-on-5 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of Julian's special. So if it turns out that this team just overperformed at the beginning and how they're playing right now is just how they are, getting rid of the guy that, has a system that gives them that boost at 5-on-5, and if the power play doesn't get any better, this could end up being really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty neutral on it.
I just think it was interesting at the time of it. It did come off of a shootout, like we said, a shootout loss to the Senators, so that's funny.
I don't think we're really going to be able to judge this move until, I don't know, a couple weeks after Gerard Gallant gets there. I think that's the obvious choice of their next move here.
Why wouldn't you bring him in?
He's the only, especially a market like Montreal, they're only going to hire an established NHL coach. And of the available NHL coaches right now that have established themselves, Gerard Gallant speaks French. So, for some reason that's their standard.
Right. And I don't see Bruce Boudreau fitting in very well up in Montreal.
No. Do they even have? Do they even barbecue up there?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd get along with French Canadians very well.
Isn't he French Canadian?
He's just Canadian.
Oh, I just assumed with the name Boudreau.
No.
Gabby
is not Canadian.
Yeah, I guess Bruce isn't a super French name.
No. Let's move on and let's talk about this Artemi Panarin situation because it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah. It's definitely. Yeah.
So
wild.
on Monday, Artemi Panarin told the Rangers he would be taking a leave of absence from the teams after allegations from a Russian newspaper article, which was written by one of his former KHL coaches, Andrei Nazarov. The article states that when he was 18 or 19, Panarin beat up an 11-year-old girl when he was a member of a KHL team.
I thought it was an 18-year-old girl that he had supposedly beat up.
I thought I read 11.
I thought it was an 18-year-old girl in
Nazarov,
2011.
Yep. In 2011, Panarin got into a physical altercation with the 8-year-old woman. In the interview, Nazarov said Panarin sent her to the floor with several powerful blows. He also said that a criminal case was opened, but that local police were paid 40,000 euros to cover it up. But this article also comes off the backing of Panarin saying some, I don't know if disparaging, but making his comments or having some comments about the current Russian Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin, and how Panarin isn't a super big fan of Mr. Putin. Panarin is stepping away to make sure that his family is safe, but he has no plans to return to Russia as of right now.
Probably smart.
Yeah. In a statement to ESPN, the KHL said that they were we are not aware of or have received a complaint in relation to any incident involving Artemi Panarin in December of 2011. If we had received any complaint, it would have been investigated as we take any allegations of misconduct incredibly seriously. And that was officially from the KHL. The Rangers organization supports the winger, saying that they are shaken and concerned by the allegations and that Nazarov's claims are clearly an intimidation tactic being used against Panarin for being outspoken on recent political events in Russia.
Yeah, you know how bullshit a story is when in today's climate teams have no problem immediately sticking their neck out in regards to a domestic abuse allegation. I guess not domestic, but in regards to like an accusation of someone beating up a woman, when a team's willing to immediately stick their neck out and be like, yeah, it didn't fucking happen.
I should mention there's no corroborating evidence to the story. There's no police or court records, and according to multiple sources, the woman simply does not exist.
Yeah, and he has teammates that have already come forward and said it didn't happen. Yep. And again, this coincidentally breaks right after he speaks in favor of the guy Putin's running against. Which, by the way, we could stop at least treating him like a hero for that, because the guy that he's speaking in favor of is no saint himself.
No, it's Russia, so like,
yeah.
Take it what you will. Kip Brennan, former teammate of Panarin's when he was on that KHL team, said, "I didn't hear of or know anything of anything like that ever happening." John Mirastay also called Nazarov a good guy, but I'm skeptical. I barely think anything like that could have happened. I'm sure I would have heard about it, and I don't understand why it would have been brought up 10 years later. Sounds like a big old hoax to me. This just sounds like Russia trying to be Russia to me.
Well, from what I've heard so far, there's no evidence to show that this statement was coerced by the government or anything. And from what I've read, Nazarov, it has been an outspoken Putin supporter. And so this might be more of a case of him just trying to curry favor with Putin on his own accord. But also no evidence of the Russian government's wrongdoings doesn't mean that there's no Russian governmental wrongdoings.
Oh, for sure.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be Russian to any conclusions, but I think Nazarov is just...
I fucking hate you.
I think Nazarov is just Putin Panarin in a bad situation for no reason.
All right, everybody, that's my last episode of the podcast. Thanks for joining.
It's sad how long I've been waiting for that.
Fucking hate you.
I truly I don't have a good life. I have so little going for me.
For real. This is potentially, the way I look at it is, this is potentially worrying for other Russian players in the NHL. Specifically, there's a guy who plays in Minnesota who just came over here, who I'm kind of begging for them not to ask what he thinks about anything. But that's terrifying that, halfway around the world, all the Russians need to do is put out a newspaper article and people will hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also,
real quick, touching on the player you mentioned from Minnesota, is like half the things that Matt Dumba says in the locker room or on the ice anymore just the words "Dollar Dollar Bill Kirill"?
No, he says Kirill the Thrill now.
Oh, okay, he's switching it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one of those mic'd up compilations the other day, and I swear, like, every other clip was Dumba calling him Dollar Dollar Bill Kirill. Or any time that the Wild are mic'd up, you at least hear him in the background yelling it.
He has like 4 names because him and Kaprizov is like, they don't live together, but Dumba has kind of taken Kirill under his wing, so they like hang out all the time. So there's Kirill the Thrill, the Kirillionaire, the Krilla, and then Dollar Dollar Bill Kirill. But yeah, but I mean, it's also another thing that the Rangers have to deal with. I thought we would go a week without mentioning Tony DeAngelo, but they still have the ongoing Tony DeAngelo situation. Gorgiev, that whole situation. Lafreniere doesn't really look like a number one overall pick right now. Like, this just kind of throws more fuel in the fire for what the Rangers are going through this year.
Yeah, they really haven't caught many breaks.
No, they have not.
And on top of that, they're also just fucking bad at hockey.
Whew. Yes, they are. It's bad when Chris Kreider gets a hat trick and you still lose the game.
It's bad when you chase out a local legend for 2 new goalies and they play the way that they've been playing.
Right. Yeah, Gorgiev and what's the other kid's name? Sir, I can't remember it.
Sorokin. No,
that's the Islanders goalie. That's the only name that was coming to my head. Sergachev.
Shesterkin. Igor Shesterkin.
We're good at this podcast.
Yeah, we killed it there.
No, neither of the goaltenders are playing great. It seems there's some level of dysfunctionality in the locker room. Seems to have gotten better since the Nazi left, but yeah, it's just another case of the Rangers not catching any breaks. And Phil has walked away from the microphone.
I'm still here.
I was like, damn, I'm really just boring him with my takes, so he's leaving.
No, my e-cigarette died. I had to grab my spare one out of my backpack. You didn't bore me. You made me need nicotine.
But yeah, so I hope Panarin's okay. I hope he stays safe. It sounds like he's hiding out in Connecticut right now. Not hiding, but he's at home in his home in Connecticut.
That's when you know someone wants to be away from the public eye, when they go to Connecticut.
Listen, all I'm saying, if he rents a cabin in Montana, then we should be worried.
Why Montana?
Well, isn't that where old Teddy K hid out for a long time?
Oh, okay.
It's funny, Phil. Laugh, damn you.
Knock, knock.
What's not funny about making jokes about a dude who bombed people? Yikes.
We are killing it this week.
This is what happens when there's just nothing really to talk about.
I know. We have to showcase our less than stellar personalities.
For real. Mike Babcock, you want to go through that whole atrocity?
Oh boy, speaking of less than stellar personalities.
Ugh. So there's a bit of backstory here, so I'm going to rip through this real quick and then we can talk about it. So Babcock was doing a media tour this week after being hired by the University of Saskatchewan to take over their men's hockey program. He was on Sportsnet doing something called The Bigger Picture, and then a radio show in Saskatchewan, just kind of answering general questions. And he was asked about the Mitch Marner situation from when Mitch Marner was a rookie. And Babcock said, I screwed him. I knew I screwed him, and I told him I screwed him. And I apologized, but I should have handled it better. I should have said something to the team, but I didn't. And maybe forcing him to rank the players based off his idea of what hard work wasn't the right move.
Maybe.
I knew I made... Right. Hold on. Better. Should have handled it better. But in the end, me and Mitch Marner are on good terms. Marner was asked about that later this week, and he said, "It's out of my head. I don't really think about it much anymore." That was the end of Marner's comment on the situation. Babcock was also asked about the Johan Franzen situation when Franzen essentially said, "He's a good coach. He cares about winning, but he's one of the worst human beings I've ever met."
Yeah.
Babcock, when asked about Franzen on the bigger picture, would go on to say, "I'm a good guy. I have a really good family. I have a really good life. You don't get this way in life by not being a good guy. But some of these stories about me stink. These guys know who I was then and know who I am now. Some of these stories just stink to me. They have to stink, don't they?"
Yeah.
And when asked what he meant by stink, he goes, "I think you know." One of those things where it's like, these guys know what they're saying about me maybe isn't their truth.
Yeah. I like that just every old rich guy's response to any criticism now is just to play the fake news card.
Right.
I don't know where they got that from, but like when he did the interview with The Athletic,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that one he at least kind of tried, albeit very poorly, to do the like whole redemption thing. And then he got that college coaching job in Canada, and now he's basically, I think at the end of the day, he knows that eventually someone's going to hire him again. I mean, he did his one, even that, like with the Franzen story, he said it hurts him to hear that Franzen felt that way. I don't think the word sorry was in that interview.
No. So I have more on that. Babcock said after being asked if he ever apologized to Johan Franzen, he said, "I reached out to Franzen, but he never got back to me, period. So was that an apology? No, I just reached out to him."
Yeah, if only he was like speaking to an outlet where he could at least publicly issue the apology for being such a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, just basically no remorse. He said there's no real remorse for the Marner thing either. He just was kind of like, "Yeah, I screwed him. Should have done it differently," was essentially what the quote amounted up to.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the first interview he did with The Athletic, where he said, that's the thing. He doesn't really show any signs that he plans on doing things differently. The closest he's come to that was saying maybe he should get someone there to tell him if he crosses the line. Which it seems more like an idea for damage control than anything. Like, so maybe next time he can get ahead of it when he fucks up. I don't know, man. I think it's not exactly a hot take to say that I think Babcock's an overrated coach as is.
No. Then there's so much more because between these two interviews, he just dropped like story after story too. To be, when asked if he knew when he was going to get fired, he said, "I knew I was getting fired the day Lou left. I wasn't their guy. They never wanted me around. It is what it is." And then Babcock also said when talking about the current generation of the Leafs, "I'm proud of what we built. We were a pretty bad team, and then we set records up there for wins and points. Never won in the playoffs, but what can you do? Makes me proud to see where they're at. I just don't know if they have what it takes still."
Oh, it's really hard to coach when you don't have arguably the greatest lineup ever put together in front of you.
Yeah. And it's, those were good Leafs teams too.
Yeah, no, it's a shame that he didn't use the good players from those Leafs teams come playoff time.
Right.
He's a fucking bad coach. That's what I don't understand here.
He also kept trying to use the argument when asked if he'd ever be an NHL coach ever again. He basically said, "I've been a coach in this league for 40 years. People know what I can do." That's not an answer. That's not.
Yeah.
He just kind of seems like a piece of shit. Like, and watching some stuff from TSN's Overdrive when that Mitch Marner stuff did leak, every source that TSN had basically said, "Great coach, awful human being."
Yeah. Yeah, and when there's enough people saying that and you can't even accept some responsibility for it, that
Mm-hmm.
I think he lacks a lot of self-awareness.
Oh
Because
yeah, for sure.
it seems pretty unanimous that players don't like him.
Not at all.
And he looks like a gargoyle.
Yeah, he does. He really does. Have you heard him speak before?
Yup.
Oh, you've heard it?
We
He-
we
Um,
went out there, we played real hard.
his voice doesn't match up to anything I've ever thought. I don't know. It's one of those. He also ranted about mental health when asked about Franzen a couple times, where he's like, well, when you talk about mental health, that's a different thing. That's a different thing altogether. I'm a coach. I don't deal with mental health when talking about Johan Franzen.
Yeah, no. It's as a coach, it's not his job to not actively contribute to a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
It's not the job of a bad coach to worry about his players as human beings. I think like that statement alone says a lot about why Babcock is a dog shit coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just
A coach
it's
needs to
brutal.
care about his players. He doesn't need to be the team psychologist or anything, but he needs to care about his players. And clearly Babcock doesn't. And so I can't imagine what could possibly go wrong with him coaching a bunch of like college kids. Yeah. Get the guy who can't get along with young players and send him to a college. It's going to be great.
My personal favorite quote from the whole thing was, I've coached for 34 years. Let's say you got 20 guys that have come out against me. Let's do the math. Something doesn't pass the smell test going on right now. That was his quote.
A lot of his defense of himself is based on smell.
I don't get it, man. It's I don't get how, a year and a half after you've got fired, you can't even admit you potentially made a mistake. You can say your version of admitting to a mistake is saying, yeah, I screwed him. Wish I would have said something else. Like, that's not an apology. That's not owning up to a mistake. That's just saying, I fucked up because I did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, and then to say, when somebody deliberately asks you, is like, the Franzen story that you verbally abused him is confirmed. Did you ever apologize? And to say, no, not really.
Yeah, I tried to call the guy. He didn't get back to me. I said, fuck it.
Right. Did you call him once and go, oh, that didn't work?
It rang.
I feel like he's one of those
star
guys
69 to the number.
Oh God. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's he seems like a piece of shit.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of Mike Babcock.
Yeah. Vladimir Tarasenko is expected to return to the lineup at some point for the St. Louis Blues this weekend. Vlad has played in 4 games, including 4 in the playoffs. since October of 2019. The Blues are optimistic that he will stay healthy and that he looks, quote unquote, like the old Tarasenko.
That's
an important guy to get back.
Yeah. Where's this optimism that he's gonna stay healthy coming from?
I don't know.
I mean, it'd be weird if they were like, yeah, he'll probably be hurt again in 2 weeks. So I guess that's the pretty standard answer there. But I don't know, man. Yeah, that guy's had some issues.
Yes, he has. But as long as he stays healthy, that Blues team is just got a pretty dangerous weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, even if he doesn't stay healthy, there's, coming into the oddest circumstances these guys have ever played under, almost halfway into the about a third of the way into the season, and not having played in quite a while. And I could be wrong, but even when he went back, I feel like he hadn't played for that long before he got hurt this time. It hadn't been that long since his last long-term injury. I mean, obviously, you just said how much he's played, but yeah. I don't know. I like Tarasenko, so I hope so. But it's just kind of hard to imagine him being the player that he's been for them long term anytime soon.
Yeah. It's personally I'd want him to not play because I don't want that team to be good.
Yeah.
That's not a team I want to face at any point with they have a healthy, loaded Tarasenko ready to go.
And just the worst fans in hockey.
Fucking awful fans.
Oh my
fucking
God.
Terrible. Like, I don't like Chicago fans, but I legitimately cannot stand Blues fans. They're dumb. They're just not smart human beings.
There's most cases where the team that wins the Stanley Cup isn't necessarily the best team of that season, but the team that had the best hot streak in the spring.
And they arguably had one of the all-time hot streaks.
I think that what we saw last year was one of the biggest hot streaks to win the cup from one of the, when they're not on that hot streak, worst teams to win the cup.
And it is appearing.
It was fun to watch and all. Like, I'm not hating on that cup win.
A kid I graduated has a Stanley Cup ring because of that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that, but other than that, Mike Yeo has this no, he doesn't because he was fired by then.
No, his Stanley Cup ring is with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, he was part of the coaching staff.
Oh, he was. Yeah, man, I just... you mentioned this in our Western Conference preview, is it appears that the Jordan Binnington of last season is the Jordan Binnington we're going to get, not the Binnington of the playoff run.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's his name? Fuck me. Fuck, we are so bad at this.
It's just one of those things I don't ever expect to come up.
The Blues backup goalie. Yeah, that's fair. Oh my God.
I did not think that us talking about Vladimir Tarasenko, Ville Husa.
That's it.
I just did not think us talking about Vladimir Tarasenko would lead to Ville Husa.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think the Torrey Krug thing is working out entirely. He's playing all right. but he's not replacing Pietrangelo
Yeah.
the way they wanted him to. I mean, they're just, it's would appear that it's just not, I don't know, man. It's just, it seems like they're going to be a team that is hanging around for the sake of hanging around right now.
I think the Krug for Pietrangelo trade, you replaced a guy who's one of the top D-men in the NHL because of his offensive number, but not the greatest defensively, with a guy who's not as good offensively or defensively, and expected it to just transition perfectly normally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised that didn't work out as quite the replacement that they had expected.
Yeah, Torrey Krug in 20 games played this year. 1 goal, 10 assists, 11 points. He's a plus 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad.
No.
But,
it's just not what they wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, their top 5 scorers are David Perron, Jordan Kyrou, Ryan O'Reilly, Braden Shen, and Mike Hoffman. And none of them are in double digits. Well, I don't think anybody other than Matthews is in double digits for scoring.
Yeah.
For goals. But, yeah, it's like 20 points, 17, 17, 16, 14, and 11 points. So, getting Vlad back would be fucking sweet for them.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes back and we get, like, you know, the Tarasenko we know and love, it'll be huge for them.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see it happening.
No, I can't see it happening either.
David Perron.
Yeah. Right?
So weird.
Yeah, so weird. The debacle in Buffalo continues to get worse. Jack Eichel was pulled off of warm-ups the other night at the last second and was scratched, and he is going to miss his second straight game with a quote-unquote lower body injury.
Yeah, then you have Jeff Skinner being healthy scratched.
Yeah, and for 3 straight games, but then tonight Skinner is expected to make his return. Which, good job, Jeff Skinner. You made the lineup tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, and their starting goaltender Linus Ullmark is going to miss at least a month with an undiagnosed lower body injury, and leaving the Sabres with one established netminder in Carter Hutton.
And he hasn't established himself in the way that you want your goalie to be established.
Yeah. They're going to bring up minor league goaltender Jonas Johansson.
Jeez.
It's just getting worse in Buffalo day by day.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much been the case in Buffalo for a while, and it's just... They're one of those teams, like we said last week, I just don't see them being good. They're like the Pittsburgh Pirates of hockey. Like, when are they gonna catch a break?
They're not.
The only good I've really seen out of Buffalo in years, other than, like, Jack Eichel, they did have, for a while, I actually think sneakily had the best defensive core in the NHL. Or one of them. I mean, even out of that, Ristolainen is just completely fucked up with COVID, like, complications.
He's set to play tonight.
Is he?
Yeah.
I was under the impression he wasn't going to be playing for a while.
No, he's, according to the story whoop, that's not what I wanted to do. 1 second for this idiot to go back to the story he was just reading. Defenseman Rasmus Ristolainen will play 3.5 weeks after testing positive and spending 2 weeks on the NHL's coronavirus protocol, but is still dealing with some side effects from COVID. But he's set to play tonight.
That's a tough look. He's still dealing with COVID compilations, but we're going to throw him out there.
So, like, you can breathe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? How well? Like a 5 out of 10. Put on your fucking skates.
I think you could, like, they could take people off the street and they're to the point of using that same standard. You can breathe, right? Yeah? All right. Congratulations. You're a Buffalo Sabre.
Honestly.
They're a step away from taking a couple guys from my deck hockey team on that fucking lineup. Jesus, Barzal is so smooth.
Yeah, it is. What else is going on? Matthews is out tonight with a sore wrist. That's going to be evaluated later this week. Yeah. Let's see what else. What else do I got?
I love that Matthews is basically day to day, but the way Toronto media is, like, they make it sound like he might never play again.
Right.
It's just like, it's not the news they wanted to hear. Like, they make it sound like his wrist is falling off. And he's going to lose his hands even though they're fine because they're attached to his wrist.
Bro, they're making it sound like his wrist looks like Kirby Doc's wrist did.
Oh. There's a mental image I didn't need.
Zach Parise nets his 800th NHL point on Friday against the King, or on Wednesday. So that was cool.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised to hear that he's only at 800.
I kind of was too, but he also plays for Minnesota, so he doesn't really get a chance to score a lot.
Yeah.
Says the Minnesota fan.
Yeah.
Just shitting on my team.
I just threw it out there. I figured you would say it, so I wouldn't have to.
Yeah. Well, you knew I'd say it, so.
Exactly.
What else? I got nothing else, man. The Wild are starting to play better. The Penguins lost Zucker for the year, probably.
No, they're saying they're optimistic he'll be back before the year's over.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It looked bad.
Yeah, it looked real fucking painful.
It looked brutal.
It was the last thing this team needs. Some good Penguins news, though. After we wrapped it up, the Penguins ended up taking the win in Sidney Crosby's 1,000th game. He had 2 assists. Oh, that was gross.
Nice.
Oh, that tasted like peanut butter. So Bobby Orr was quoted saying that he would consider Sidney Crosby one of the top 5 all-time NHL players.
I remember. Yeah, I did see that.
Where do you think that's an accurate statement?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't.
I look at it through the lens of he's been the best I've ever seen in my lifetime. We kind of had this discussion last week when it came to like Crosby and Lemieux.
Yeah.
Not Crosby and Lemieux. Lemieux and Gretzky. I think the unfortunate thing for Crosby is that he's going to forever be linked to maybe the best pure goal scorer in NHL history in Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I
was listening to Puck Soup this week, and they summed up where I come on Crosby a lot. Oh my god, I said I come on Crosby a lot. We could I said those words all in order. We'll have to isolate that. But basically, yeah. The untouchable three is Lemieux, Orr, and Gretzky.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're forgetting the fourth. It's Jeff Bukaboom.
The fourth is Tanner Glass. But no, I think fourth, Gordie Howe.
Oh yeah, Gordy's top. Okay, yeah.
If not even like for his actual ability, just how long he was an effective player for. So there's 4, which leaves one more spot.
Well, here, let's do this then.
All of the players that were super good but had careers cut short by injury. All of the players who only played the worst parts of their career in the NHL, like from Russia. Every goalie.
Okay, here. I have a list of the top 10 NHL players of all time. This is from Bleacher Report in 2019. Do you want to run through this quick, and I'll see?
Bleacher Report, what I base all my hockey opinions on. Yeah, let's hear it.
I mean, it's still a list. It's a list. Number 10, they have your guy Sid. Number 9, they have Bobby Hull. 8, they have Guy Lafleur. 7, Marc Messier. 6, Jean Beliveau. 5, Maurice Richard. 4, Mario. 3, Bobby. 2, Wayne. And 1, Gordy.
Okay, so that list can just go fuck itself. We're just springboarding Gordie Howe to the best of all time. Come on.
Oh wait, here's the one from the official NHL network. Okay.
Oh,
This
fuck
is
that
from-
list too. That list doesn't have Malkin in the top 100.
Oh, this isn't even in order. Suck my shit. They just have I scrolled all the way to the bottom. It had Brian Trottier, Georgi Zvezda, and Steve Yzerman, and I was like, "As your top 3?"
Yeah, that's... If you're talking top 5 forwards of all time, Sid, yes. I think he's in the top 10. But I mean, just like I said, we could I think pretty much everyone can agree on the top 4: Lemieux, Gretzky, Orr, and Howe.
Where does Yager fall on that list?
And that's one. So just to give a list of guys, I think you could make an argument above of Sid off the top of my head. The guys whose careers were cut short: Pavel Bure, Dominic Hasek, possibly Patrick Waugh.
Nah, Waugh had a long enough career.
No, I'm not. I'm done naming people. I just said because I mentioned guys who had careers cut short by injury for Pavel Bure. But yeah, I don't know. Just guys that you could very solidly argue are better than Yager.
I mean,
or better
Ovechkin
than
falls,
Crosby.
Yeah. I mean, Ovechkin falls somewhere on that list.
I don't think the argument is really there for Ovechkin over Crosby as an overall player. I know he's not the one-dimensional player that people don't like him make him out to be. But his overall game has so many less tools than Crosby's.
I will give you that. I would agree with that. There are things that both of them bring to their game that Crosby is so much better at.
Other than scoring goals and hitting, what could you say Ovechkin is better than Sidney Crosby at?
Drinking beer.
We don't even know that that's true.
No, that's a fair point. I don't know. I think Crosby's just a better playmaker in general. Crosby's a better stick handler. Yeah,
if you have to pick one of those guys as a rookie to start a team with and to build around.
Ooh. Sid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Ovechkin. He's, I do think he's the greatest goal scorer of all time. I think any argument for Sid, because, then you hear people that try to argue that Sid is the greatest. And that's when you get into the, yes, if you were to put him back in the 80s, he's probably outscoring Lemieux and Gretzky. But if Lemieux and Gretzky at a young age came into today's game where there was a reason for them to have the nutrition and all the skills training and stuff and learn how to do the things the guys do now, who's to say they wouldn't be able to do that given the opportunity? And that's where that's where the whole you can only go by what they did in their era. And I just think that out of all the guys you could argue that are better than Crosby, I think one of them has to pass him up.
That's a fair point. I think, like I said, I think mine's a little skewed because,
Did you wake up today thinking that I would try to talk you out of calling Sidney Crosby one of the 5 greatest players of all time?
No, I didn't think that. I did think it based off what you texted me earlier, but I didn't think about it past that. I just, for my money, Crosby's the best player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And all credit to Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Ovechkin, guys like Forsberg, who were still playing when I was, getting into hockey. But just there's something about Crosby that has always been head and shoulders above everybody else around him.
What do you think about the argument? So are you settling on best player you've ever seen, but probably not top 5 all time?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to land.
Okay. So where do you land on the debate that Leon Draisaitl might actually be the best player in the league right now?
I think he's better than McDavid.
I'm kind of here for that argument.
I think he plays a more complete game, and I've said this about since Connor's season. His offensive potential and upside and what he brings to the offensive side of the game is through the roof. I've never seen anybody like that before. However, his defensive skill set and his defensive side of the game is such a liability.
Yeah. And
that it's not even it almost takes away from him. That's how much of a defensive liability he is.
Well, and Draisaitl's no defensive juggernaut himself, but he's a lot better this year alone and shows the ability to improve on it. I don't know. I've never considered McDavid a liability defensively, but certainly not good. You'd want your number 1 center to be a better defensive player than McDavid is.
Yeah.
And
I think liability was being harsh, but he leaves a lot to be desired defensively.
Yeah. And I mean, last year I would actually say that I think he was better defensively than Draisaitl, but this season, again, not only is Draisaitl better now, but it shows the ability to improve on defense that McDavid hasn't really shown. And
Agreed. I 100% agree with that.
Imagine if you could just give Draisaitl McDavid speed.
Oh.
That's what I think really comes down to the argument that Draisaitl's the better player. I don't even say that to take away from McDavid. I like McDavid a lot. But, I think they're both better than Crosby at this point. Even without the defensive game.
At this stage in their career, in this stage in his career, if you look at it that way, if you want to make that argument about Sid, at this stage in his career, he's a top 20 player in the league. I wouldn't even say he's top 10 player in the league.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which happens. I would say top, maybe not top 20, top 15.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
I think he'd be around. I'd have to like sit down and try to make a list. I'd probably put him like, I don't know, 9, 10-ish.
hmm
Uh,
Yeah, but that is the stage of his career he's at. Like we said last week when he was celebrating his thousandth. I couldn't do this last week. His 1,000th game, you would have thought he would have been at that benchmark already, but due to injuries, he's not.
yeah.
And
If you like take it, I forget what the number was. When you look at what his points per game is, and you add all the games he's missed to injuries and lockouts and a pandemic, it gets real disgusting.
oh, I'm sure.
And especially as a fan of the team he plays for, it gets very upsetting. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the game that is better than he was in his prime. But yeah,
No,
as
there's nobody.
a 33, 34 in August player, yeah, if he's in the top 10, he's at the end of the list.
I've seen this argument percolate too. But where does Nathan McKinnon land on your list right now?
Probably third, behind
Yeah.
Draisaitl and McDavid.
That would, third. Yeah, I would say third.
Maybe Victor Hedman's in there instead, and he's fourth.
hmm
But he's top 4.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it. Like he has the potential to lead this league in goals. Or don't know if he's going to get there this year just because of the tear that Matthews is on.
Yeah.
But he has that kind of potential where he could, dominate. We saw it in the outdoor game where he picked the puck up at center ice and walked around a top 5 defenseman in this league, and Alex Pietrangelo, and scored. He's that good.
Yeah, McKinnon has everything going for him that you could want out of a player. He's fast as shit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that doesn't even necessarily get talked about too much with him. Oh my god.
Did he get scored on?
Brock fucking Nelson.
Oh. Ooh.
It wasn't the worst goal for us to give up, but rough when you're a minute 20 away from getting out of the first tied at 0. But yeah, I feel like McKinnon is so good all around that his speed doesn't really get talked about that much.
No.
And
But he's a top end speed guy in the league.
yeah, he can play physical, he can play make, he can score, he's fast, he has every tool.
Mm-hmm.
And even going into the like intangible stuff that people love to see about a player who's okay with taking less money to help the team win. It's hard to imagine him not winning a Stanley Cup, if not multiple Stanley Cups in his career.
It's really hard. And I know at some point we do want to talk about like guys or teams missing Stanley Cups, and it would be a real shame if he eventually ended up on a list like that.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine that with this Colorado team, though.
Oh, they're not as...
They're underwhelming this year.
They're underwhelming. And I wonder if part of that is a product of the pandemic or... they've missed a game or two. They've missed some games, and I don't know how healthy they've been because, guys like Makar has missed some time. I think the biggest knock against McKinnon is he does get hurt a lot.
Yeah.
He misses games with a lot of soft tissue stuff or, but that's also a product of that dude puts his body out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, It's just one of those things where they're good. We know how good. We saw an opening night, like an 8-0 win against the Blues, just how good they could be.
You know, I just thought it because I was saying, like, imagine, like, Draisaitl with McDavid's speed. That's another testament to how good Sidney Crosby is. Even in his prime, he was never a speed demon.
Nope. Never was a guy who would blow you away. He would just, stick handle you to death.
Well, and he'd see where the play's going and be there before you.
That too.
He always kind of seems like he's fast because he's just on his way there before anyone else even thinks about it. But yeah, for what he's done, especially with pretty average speed, is insane.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to haul that giant ass around the ice.
That fucking dump truck, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have anything else?
No, that's all we got.
This doesn't seem like a good way to wrap.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Suck my shit.
Let's go off topic. Let's do a favorite, least favorite, overrated, underrated for something.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't even have to be hockey. Huh.
Ooh. Favorite?
We're talking about, let's do favorite, least favorite, overrated, underrated sitcoms. This is very puck soup of us.
Are we talking true sitcoms? Like laugh track and everything?
Doesn't have to be a laugh track, just half-hour sitcom.
Favorite of all time is Parks and Rec. Just one of those shows that humor is right up my alley. I think Amy Poehler is ridiculously smart. I don't have to explain it to you. It's a good show. Fucking watch it.
All right, I'll do. Let's do. We'll both do. So your favorite is Parks and Rec. My favorite, man. There's so many that I like. Could we call The Simpsons a sitcom?
Yeah, I'd call The Simpsons. It's an animated sitcom.
Yeah, those early The Simpsons, especially. I've never liked a show as much as I liked The Simpsons in their heyday.
Those, honestly, so my parents were weird and never let me watch the animated stuff. Like they always, I got very sheltered in the fact that I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons or Family Guy or
Family Cat. That would be an interesting show.
Family Guy, like any of that shit like that. I always watched it when I'm older, and I've gone back and watched some of season 2 to 15 of The Simpsons is elite fucking stuff.
Yeah, it's
so good.
And yeah, because there is that first season where it wasn't really a comedy all the way.
No, it was not.
The first even has episodes that are kind of depressing.
Super depressing.
The Bleeding Gums Murphy episode bums me out every time.
Oh.
He just could not kick that addiction to Fabergé eggs.
No, he couldn't. No. Okay, least favorite sitcom.
You're up.
Least favorite. Big Bang Theory.
I kind of knew that would come up here.
I can't fucking stand that show, man.
I literally talked about this with my dad earlier. I don't hate that show with the ferocity that some people hate it with. My only real problem is that it is so, what people who don't know anyone that's ever read a comic book thinks nerds are like.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like those guys need, I feel like they can afford to not have roommates.
For sure.
But, least favorite. Golden Girls. I don't... See, in this one, when there's such a big pull, because anything I don't like is also going to fall into, I could argue for it being the most overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Least favorite? Maybe season 1 of Parks and Rec?
Yeah, just skip season 1 of Parks and Rec. But then you go from there and it's just fucking the best.
Yeah. Oh. You know, I'll just say Golden Girls. I can't sit through an episode of that show.
No. All right.
Overrated.
Overrated. Seinfeld.
Oh, fuck you. That was in the running for my favorite.
Part of it is not that I don't get it. It's just like, and it's funny because I love Larry David and I fucking love Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But I feel like Curb Your Enthusiasm was the show that he always wanted Seinfeld to be. And then he finally I think he finally got to write the show he wanted Seinfeld to be with Curb, and Curb is just the best.
What I'll say for Seinfeld is that a lot of the predicaments that they end up that shows are centered around, nowadays that plotline doesn't exist with smartphones.
Right.
So many of the predicaments in that show would have been solved if they had a cell phone. So there is that, and also, I mean, I love Seinfeld, but Jerry Seinfeld is just such an insufferable asshole nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But, overrated. Maybe Friends?
Oh my god, I didn't even think of one for my favorite. Fuck. Friends. I
you
like
named
Friends.
your favorite. You said Parks and Rec. It's underrated
Yeah.
that you don't have. I like Friends, but it's
when you're done with yours. It wasn't Friends. I just thought of something off the top of my head. But yeah, I liked Friends, but I don't think it's anywhere nearly as iconic. I mean, it's iconic, but I'm like, it's 6 seasons too long.
Yeah.
If you give me seasons 2 to 6, 7-ish of that show, it's elite. And then season 1 and everything after season 6 is bullshit.
Yeah, so I'd say Friends for overrated, but some honorable mentions that also show, The Office is in the running for my favorite show, but it's also overrated. I've been in Office memes groups on Facebook, and I mean, there's people that, it's their entire fucking life. When you see people throw away jokes and playing the you're not a true fan card in regards to a sitcom because they forgot one joke in a 200 plus episode series, people just go so crazy about that show.
For real.
And I say that as someone who's probably watched that entire series 20 times.
Right.
And then Rick and Morty. I love Rick and Morty, but this illusion that some people have that you have to be smart to understand it is just stupid. Half of it is dick jokes.
Yeah, that's true.
Dick jokes and pop culture references. What did you come up with? Oh my god, my dog is really on one tonight.
For overrated?
Overrated, you already said Seinfeld.
Yeah. So my underrated show, and I legitimately mad at myself I didn't think of this for my favorite. It's Scrubs.
I really haven't watched a lot of
Oh,
Scrubs.
man, it is. Unfortunately, it did go too long. It's for it went for 9 seasons, and technically that last season is when they were
Boot,
a
come here. You're being an asshole. All right. All right, she's in here. Hopefully she'll stop barking, because if she doesn't, it's just going to be even louder now. Overrated Taking Back Sunday album, louder now.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know, man. Scrubs is so good. Up until the season where they all, like, until the hospital closes and they go to become med school doctors, like med school teachers, I can do without that season. But it's some of the smartest and clever TV ever written. It's so good, man. I absolutely fucking love that show. And they have a bunch of Our Lady Peace in the soundtrack for the song. So like that fucking rocks.
Yeah. So for underrated, I have two. The first one I'd put on this lit. The thing with the first one is it's a British show.
The IT Crowd?
No. Red Dwarf.
Never heard of it.
Red Dwarf takes place on the Jupiter mining ship, the Red Dwarf. And so basically, the pilot episode, the main character, Dave Lister, who is just an idiot that likes to party and is part of the ship's crew, he snuck a cat from a different planet onto the ship. They find it, and his punishment is that they put him into stasis for the remainder of the trip.
Okay.
After that happens, there's an accident on the ship, and everybody dies.
Oh.
Eventually, he comes out of stasis, and it's like thousands of years later.
Mm-hmm.
And the only life on the ship is the ship's computer, like a floating head on the screens, named Holly.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that was his roommate on the ship that he hates, Rimmer, in hologram form, the ship could only sustain one hologram, and that was the person who he talked to the most. And a humanoid life form that evolved from the cat that he snuck on.
Okay.
It's a great show. You've got to check it out.
Okay, I'll check that out. That sounds awesome. The British humor is up my alley.
Yeah.
When you said British humor, I was like, yep, the IT Crowd. Forgot about that one too.
Yeah, but the reason I can't go with that as my underrated is it was popular over there. It's underrated to American audiences where it's just got a cult following.
That's the problem with Scrubs. Scrubs was on for a long time, but it's all cult following here.
Yeah. And then
like people who love anyways, continue.
Well, so then just to talk about US shows that people who listen to this might have actually seen. I kind of want to say The League, but I feel like that has a big enough, devoted enough cult following that you can't. So I'm going to have to go with You're the Worst. And honorable mention, it only lasted 2 seasons, but Jim Jeffries' show, legit.
Jim Jeffries' show was good.
Not his show, the Jim Jeffries show. The show that he was on, legit.
Oh, I've never seen that.
It's on Hulu. You should definitely check it out. A lot of the episodes, like premises, are actually his stand-up bits. If you like Jim Jeffries, you're going to love this show. He actually pretty much does some of his bits in the dialogue of the show. But, I have to go with You're the Worst. It only lasted like 4 seasons. And that's a shame because it was so good. Have you watched You're the Worst yet? That's one I've been telling you to watch for a while.
I keep getting sucked into not that.
Yeah, it's great. The theme song is song by Sloth Rust, so that's awesome.
Nice.
Yes, I said that right. Sloth Rust. All one word. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so funny. It's over the top. It's one of those shows where a lot of the humor, it's got a lot of the same DNA as It's Always Sunny almost. Like, they're just terrible people. And yeah, you've got to watch it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it only.
Another
I'm
underrated
still
one.
upset that Powerless only lasted one season. That was an office sitcom. Like, it was like a workplace sitcom that took place in the DC universe. Like, they worked for Wayne Industries, like making technology for superheroes. And Vanessa Hudgens' character had just moved to the city to work for this company. Yeah. But yeah, most underrated, Red Dwarf in America. But because it's popular in the country it was made, I'd have to go with You're the Worst.
I also think that, I know it's kind of a cult thing too, but Malcolm in the Middle is fucking fantastic.
It is, but Malcolm in the Middle I have a hard time calling underrated just because that show was extremely popular when it was coming out.
Right.
Like, Frankie
Right.
Muniz was a breakout star from that show. And he
Right,
doesn't
and-
really remember it.
No, apparently not. I love that show. It was one of those ones that was on after school, like the syndicated episodes were on after school.
Yeah,
And I loved that show.
I did. Yeah, that is a great show. Ooh, I'm about to say something you might not like
Go ahead.
for an overrated show.
Is it Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I would
Okay,
never.
good. We could still be friends. I fucking love that show.
That 70s show. I
right,
like
well,
that 70s show. But
It's good.
at any given time, I can think of something I would rather watch.
Yeah, agreed. The problem with I love that 70s show. There's 2 or 3, like the first 3 seasons of that show are awesome. When Eric and Donna break up and they make him a fucking asshole for no reason,
Yeah.
it ruined the show for the next however many seasons.
And then he starts dating Jessica Simpson.
Yeah, and it's weird, and then in the end doesn't hide and don't. Yeah, it's just
I
so
don't even
many
remember
issues.
how everything ended up.
Yeah, it's just I have so many issues with the way the show ended, where I'm just like, I can't call it my favorite because I've gone back and watched it multiple times, and every time I'm just like, ugh. Oh, if we're talking about things that ruined things for me, I was a big How I Met Your Mother fan, but the very last episode, the series finale of that show, was so atrocious, and they wrapped up the show in the worst way possible. It legitimately ruined the entire series for me.
That is one that I have actually meant to get around to. From what I've seen, I like it, but I have not watched that show.
It is awesome until the last season and the very last episode. The very last episode made me so angry because I had caught up with the final season on Hulu to watch it live, and then the very last episode the way it ends, it's just, you spent this long setting this up.
Yeah. It
infuriating.
does suck when a show wraps up in just a super unsatisfying way. Community,
Oh, Community ended so.
It just made me so sad.
Right.
I didn't
Is
really
the
like
dog
how
ever-
New Girl ended.
I was okay with how New Girl ended. I wasn't the biggest fan of how it ended, but it fit enough where I was like, okay, yeah, I'm fine with this.
Yeah. I just feel like New Girl, they just kind of, especially Jake Johnson, got busy doing other stuff. Like, that last season's only like 8 episodes.
I think they also didn't expect to end. If I remember reading if I remember right, they weren't ready for that to be the last season of the show.
That would make sense.
And then it just ended up being the last season of the show.
Jesus.
They were pretty much told, like, hey, we have a full season. They're like, nope, you're only doing 8 episodes and that's it. So they had to, like, shoehorn a bunch of stuff in.
Yeah, I could see that. We better wrap this up. My long-ass headphone cords are wrapped up in a whole bunch of shit, and I'm stuck standing in an awkward position, and if I move, things will start coming unplugged. And we've been talking about sitcoms for like 20 minutes now.
All right, cool.
So this seems like a good time to wrap up.
Do we want to do, if it's another slow week, do we want to do hockey hijinks next week?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, we'll think of something. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we're out, fuckers. Keep on rolling, baby.
Yeah, eat every dick. Peace, fuckers.